Hi, everybody. Welcome. I'm Angie Costa, and I am here with my co-author and the absolute guru of positivity. I don't care. I'm going to say it. I'm going to declare that this woman is the guru of all positivity for the universe, April Sobral.
That's a big, big, heavy load on my shoulders.
No pressure. No pressure at all. But welcome, everybody. We are so excited to talk to you about what we talk about every day, all day. It has consumed our lives, April's life for a decade or more. And mine certainly for the last year, is this idea of incurable positivity, what it is, what it means, how to make it active in your life, how it can really influence and impact the things that you are doing every single day. And really, our goal is even bigger than being the guru of all positivity. Our goal is spreading positivity around the world. Do y'all see that world map behind April? From every country, we want to know that people are getting the message that positivity makes a difference. And so last time we were together, April, we chatted a little bit about this idea of negativity, how that looks for people. And, I've always referred to myself as a negative person before I met you and before I worked with you on your first book, which was The Positive Effect, the Retail Leader's Guide. But you challenged that notion that maybe that's not really true. Maybe there really isn't such a thing as a negative person, or what's the deal? How do we frame that?
Yeah, I don't think that any of us are like born negative, right? Like, I think that we're just conditioned over time through the experiences that we have, the emotions that we hold on to, that, start off with a thought that then gets ruminated over time, that turns into a belief that we then, play out in our lives. And the National Science Foundation did a study that said 80% of our thoughts are negative, based on many factors, just like what I talked about, whether that, like from childhood, having an experience, or just input, like things we're listening to all day and ingesting around us, whether that be people in our lives that are negative, or like the news and different things. And I'm not saying don't listen to the news, because you need to know. People challenge me on that all the time. Well, what if I don't know what's going on in the world? I'm like, well, somebody always tells me, first of all. I always find out what's going on in the world. But yeah, I don't think anybody's negative. Now, I do think that people like tend to be more skeptical and optimistic. Those are more personality traits. But negativity is really just conditioning. And so knowing that our thoughts just create our beliefs, and a thought is just a thing that you think. A thought is a thing. It literally is a thing. Then you can start to think positive thoughts and condition yourself to shift that, right? So that's why I don't think, like, are you negative, or are you just conditioned negative? I would say, I'd argue the point that you're conditioned to be negative. That's what I truly think.
Yeah. And you mentioned the timing, that time from when the thought enters your mind. It's sort of like the clock starts ticking in terms of whether or not you are going to release that thought and move to a better place, a more positive place, or if you're going to embrace that thought. And if you embrace that thought, that's when it starts to sort of do its work in making you see things negatively or feel negatively about a particular person or a particular situation, right?
Yeah, 100%. Because we all have like 80% negative thoughts, right? That's a big stat. So like, you have this self chatter that goes on in your mind, right? Like, and we're all talking to ourselves all day. Like, we're having that self dialogue that goes on. And I think more than anything, it's exactly what you just said. We talk in the book about like releasing it, right? And then reaching for a new thought. But the thing is, you have to become aware of that before you even start to release it. And that's the thing. Many people, it's just the way that they are. They're not really paying attention and doing practices that make them present to become aware of that thought. And that's what meditation does, because it makes you kind of slow down, be quiet, so that you can hear the voice that's talking to you, that's like saying those things. Like, I know that when I'm doing things, sometimes I'll be like, oh God, April, you're so stupid. Like, why did you do it that way? Or like, why did you go out on that date? You're so stupid. right? Small things, but like these sneaky little negative thoughts of like, oh God, you're so stupid. Why did you do that again? Then you just start spiraling down, right? And what we want to do is we want to spiral up to positivity, not down to negativity, right? So it really is literally that what starts ruminating, and then the choice. And that's why I love the word shift in the title, because it really is a choice to shift to positivity, because we're all in negative situations all day. Like, just to be
Right.
that is really not realistic. Like, people say to me, you're the most positive person I meet, and I'm like, yeah, but I'm still human. I still wake up with those thoughts. But the shifting, I think the shifting's key, right? Like, it's learning the techniques to shift it so that you become more aware, so that you can make that choice. And then it's the commitment to actually live your life like that. It is a lifestyle choice. I think
Right.
you've said that, because before we met each other, you were like, oh, I thought more negatively. And now look at you. You're like, you correct me sometimes. You're like, hold on a second, incurable positivity. We got to shift it. So, it's choices.
It's changed everything for me. I mean, of course, it began when The Positive Effect was published, but incurable positivity really changed even that. It even moved me along in the continuum, and I'm hoping that it does that for everyone who buys the book and reads the book, because for me, I notice all the time now. I never did before. I never noticed those negative thoughts. I never noticed the feeling, the emotions that those negative thoughts were producing in me, and the resulting actions as a result of those negative emotions, right? Now I instantly notice. And I'm not perfect at switching and shifting, and nobody is
Nobody.
perfect at it. But I am so aware now when the negative thought comes to immediately say, there is a positive thought that I can replace this negative thought with. And sometimes that's difficult. And I think the book really does a great job of talking about that shift sometimes being a little difficult to make. It's a little rocky. So you have to sort of take your time in processing from the negative to the positive. I think that's like chapter 3 or chapter
Yeah,
4, where,
yeah. Like,
right?
talk about like accepting it, right? Like accepting those thoughts and not trying to push them away. And one of the techniques I use a lot when my brain is fixated, because I am an overthinker and a worrier by nature. Like, I am a worrier by nature. And I've had to really practice to condition, to not be that worrier. And so one of the things I do when my brain starts, fixating on a problem and like ruminating on it, I'll just say to my brain and my mind, I'll just say, thanks for like bringing that to my attention today. I really appreciate it. But you know what? I'm not trying to solve it today either. And then all of a sudden it just dissipates and it just goes
Yes.
away. But like, who else do you know? I don't know anybody else that does that in my world. Like, when I tell people like that, they're like, are you crazy? I'm like, just try it. Try
Yeah.
it for 7 days and see what happens, because we know what we resist persists, right? Like, that's the law of attraction. Like, what we resist persists. So it is having these techniques, these specific techniques, and then those bridge thoughts that you can have, right? Like, okay, maybe you can't go from like, this is really bad to this is amazing, but you can have a bridge thought that kind of builds that gap, that makes it like a step forward, so that you can exactly start moving along that path to positivity, as
Right.
opposed to being so. And that's why I say it's a skill, right? Like, it's a skill that you have to learn, and it's all in here.
Yes, yes. I can speak from the perspective of someone who is on a weight loss journey and having a lot of success at the moment. And I think that is largely because of using incurable positivity um, techniques on
Mm,
this whole weight loss issue. Because here's the thing: when you're trying to lose weight, you believe that everything you do is working against your ultimate goal.
right.
So if you drink an iced tea, if you if the office party, and suddenly there's donuts or cake or something, and you have a slice of cake, you just assume that, oh God, my whole thing is over, I've wrecked my entire plan. If
Yeah.
you don't work out today and you know that you should, you feel so angry and frustrated and depressed and despair, right?
Yeah.
But what incurable positivity teaches you to do is first accept that you're in that place, right?
Yeah.
And not try to fight against yourself. That doesn't work. And then either reach for a new thought, right? You got to reframe the situation, reach for a new thought, or that bridge thought. That bridge thought has been so helpful for
Mm.
me, because what I say is that is a moment in time. This is a lifelong journey, right?
Oh,
That has been my bridge thought. And oh my God, I've just had day after day after day after day of consistent weight loss. Now I know the day is going to come where the scale's not going to move, but I hold on to that bridge thought that says, that is a moment in time. This is a lifelong journey. And that just pushes me right to the next thought, which is, I know this is going to be a success. So I believe in curable positivity. I've put the bug in April's ear already, but I just believe in curable positivity is applicable to every area of your life, your finances, your relationships, your health, your family, can't even think of a place where positivity can't help improve your personal situation, right?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, like 100%. Like I was having conversations all weekend and like I went out for dinner on Saturday night and I was talking to somebody about like dating and positivity and like how to approach it. And like if you're like thinking, oh God, dating's terrible and I never meet anybody. And like, and you're not gonna meet anybody if you think
That's
dating's gonna
right.
the thing, right? But if you're like,
Right.
I'm so excited to like meet new people and just get to know new people, you have a whole different mindset and perspective on it. And then you're probably going to attract more of that into your life, right? Like as opposed to like attracting the negative. And I just think it has an impact on your health. I know there's studies done, right? Like where they've shown and proved that people that take the placebo effect actually have, short-term like improvements in health and they weren't
Right.
given medication. So that's your mind again, positive thinking, positive mind. I mean, Louise Hay wrote a book about it. You can heal your mind, you can heal your life. I think that's what it's called. Can't probably bodge that up. But she sold 28 million copies. I was researching that the other day, right? Because I just love reading and studying about this stuff, but it's so fascinating. But what I love about this book, because there's so many books out there about the law of attraction, manifesting, and all of
Right.
that stuff, right? But I think what they miss in a lot of that is the law of cause and effect, right? Which is there is a cause to something that has an effect at the end of it. Like we know that, like cause and effect. You eat not poorly, you're not going to feel good afterwards, or you don't drink water, you're going to be dehydrated in the simplest terms. And so thinking about positive thinking is the cause, the effect is what's going to happen in your life. And so I think
Right.
that's what's really great about this book, because it walks you through those principles, those processes, those tactical things that you can do to just shift, right? As opposed to it being like a big theory philosopher. I mean, you shared that you were doing this with your daughter last week and you were,
Yes.
what's something last week that you and your daughter were working on that you really felt like was significant?
I really thought that this book would help my daughter. I was taking a gamble because, she's a teenager. She's 16 years old. And you know how we are when we're 16, right? We're going through all the physical hormonal changes and all of that. And that can be really challenging. And so I said, we were going away to Austin for 3 or 4 days, just she and I. And I thought, how nice would it be if every morning we did incurable positivity exercises? And her ability to read the questions and internalize the concepts, understand exactly what was being asked of her to think about, and answer in a way that was introspective, in a way that was positive. I mean, she was really able to think about herself and her life. And we had the best time. And this is we took the trip because she's been having some struggles. She's been a little tough to live with. And so I thought, she needs some mother daughter time. But that being able to go through that book together and bond over that, I think that's a really important key for anyone. I think this book is really best done with other people. I think when you have a group of people to talk to, or another person to sort of bounce things off of, hearing other people's perspective, hearing them be honest about their answers to the questions,
Yeah,
frees you to be more honest. So we have an incurable positivity book club, by the way.
we do. It's amazing. Yeah,
Shameless plug, right?
yeah, it's on. You can find it on incurablepositivity.com. It's great. People are signing up, and there's there's a donation that goes to a nonprofit, which is awesome because we're spreading positivity, like you said, globally. We're going to grow this thing out. But
Yes.
that's the thing. If you want to dive more into it, like you said, Angie, like getting around like-minded people is half the battle, because there's some people that I know that I've had conversations with recently that said, there's nobody positive in my life. Like, I am surrounded by negative people. I don't have anybody positive around me. What do I do in that circumstance? And like, how do I stay more positive? And, one is, to read and study and like put the practices in place. But another thing is to get around like-minded people to
Right.
encourage you, to lift you up, to keep you in that vibration of positivity. And that's what the
Right.
book club's doing. And I get to share a lesson from it,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
and like answer Q&A. Somebody asked me yesterday, "Oh, I want more in the book. I want you to explain more." And I was like, "Join the book club." If you join the book club, I'll be able to answer questions. And then guess what? You ask a question, we talk about it, shares it with everybody else. That's how you learn and grow. You learn and grow through community, right? And
Yeah.
sharing, being able to be vulnerable. And I love that you said a 16-year-old could read the questions and actually answer them introspectively, because as a coach, that's just music to my ears, because everything in this book, from the call to action and the self-reflection questions, are about that, about helping you identify where you can move and like taking action, because I want you to take action and move forwards. The planet needs us all to be more positive,
Absolutely.
right? We have a
Absolutely.
to each other, to hold each other up and to be more positive and to create that energy, because that's what I truly believe is going to heal the planet. Those are the things we can control, what we can do. Don't you agree?
1000%. 1000%. I was on a conference call Sunday with a lot of friends from my childhood. We all grew up on the same street. We've tried our best to stay in touch. We've not done as well as we would have liked, but we decided, hey, once a month, let's all get on this call together. And my best friend from childhood texted me after the call, and she said, wow, you are so energetic. You're so upbeat. She said, I just could feel your energy coming through the call. And as I listened to people that I grew up with, how I used to talk about the world, how I used to talk about life in such somber, negative, pessimistic terms. And here I am on the call, thanks to you. I'm on this call, just this bundle of joy and optimism, and I don't know how everyone else felt about it, but she appreciated it and took the time after the call to text me and say, she said, you just blew me away. She said, you gave me so much energy. I feel like I have an energy meal to feast on for the rest of the month.
Oh, I
Those
love
were her exact words. And I thought, wow, how far I've come since those days.
Well,
you
yeah,
know,
here's the thing, right? Like, if you want to get promoted at work, or you want to have a better relationship with your family, or you want to, whatever you want to do, I think that the way you show up and the way you interact with people
yeah,
really makes a difference, because you just made an impression and had gave her an experience of you, which uplifted her. Now she's probably going to do that with somebody else, and it keeps going.
yes,
And one of the
yes,
things in the first book is I talk a lot about positive leadership. And I really truly believe, because I've been doing this work for 25 years about conditioning my mind to be positive, right? Because I was raised by an American hippie who was into Abraham Hicks and like Eckhart Tolle and all of the Hay House authors. And I was introduced to it in my 20s, which I'm so grateful for. But because of that, I really truly believe that my success in my career in retail wasn't because I went to school, because I didn't. I was 16, got a job in a retail store, ended up running 350 stores. And I really believe it was because of my positivity. A lot of it
yeah,
had to do with that. Every time I walked in the room, everybody felt better. Everybody felt better when I left. And they were like, it was just memorable experiences. And I learned that through working with customers, or, sales were bad. I had to keep everybody going. And then, being a single mom and like working in retail, there's so much going on. So I just practiced it so much. So that's where I see the benefit of this in everybody's life, right? Like, it wasn't magic that just happened. I think it was just the conditioning and showing up and being that person in the room. And if you asked anybody, do you want to hang out with positive people, or do you want to hang out with negative people? What do you think they would say? You're always going to say, I want to hang out with more positive people, like, because it feels better. And we
it
all
does.
feel better about our lives, right? So
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, when April and I get together again, we are going to talk about chapter 1, which is commitment. And we're going to really hit that hard because I think that is the key to everything else that comes as a result of positivity, right? So hopefully you have liked and subscribed. Leave us a comment. We really want to engage with you guys and let us know how this is landing on you. If you're like me and you were in that negative headspace, when you hear this, you think, oh, yeah, some of that woo woo stuff, or it doesn't work, or it works for other people. It's not going to work for me. We're going to talk about that in our next episode. So please make sure you share, comment, like, subscribe, and join our amazing community at incurablepositivity.com. And we will see you next time.
Amazing.